l'âme vacarme s'en va dans l'oubli éternel. Et Gustave, dom guardiam, dilim didididilam, lutes sera dodilam.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 108, I think. I don't know. This isn't my show, but it's the intern takeover episode. So we're running the show now, Assassin and I, because Red can't be bothered to show up to his own crap anymore. He's just above it all. He's better than all of you guys. He's better than Assassin and I. He just supersedes both of us. So we're going he's otherwise occupied, so we're going really low tech for this episode, where it's just Assassin and I, but we're gonna be hosting in his place. We literally are. We're just unpaid interns. That's Red calls us that plenty of times off the air. Assassin will back me up on this. That many times, as soon as we end the show, like really end the show, Red will just sit down and go, "You effing interns. This is why you're unpaid. We only got 30 viewers this time." It's pretty harsh. He's Red's no, he's never done any of that. But we're hosting in his place because he's otherwise occupied, so we'll keep the show running. I don't know how long we'll be hanging out tonight, but thank you all for joining us. And of course, it is just Assassin and I for tonight on this lovely Tuesday evening or morning or nighttime or twilight or whatever the heck time zone you're in. But here in Freedom Time, it's the late afternoon.
Freedom Time.
And when we're using Freedom Time, we're in the late afternoon. So, Assassin, how's it going?
Surprisingly pretty good. You know, to be honest, I didn't expect that we'd be doing a show today at all, but imagine my surprise when DeMarco, you decided to defy our beloved publisher and decide to do your own thing and, take the show for yourself just this one time. As we interns know, we don't always get to do what we want, and this time we do. So I'm doing pretty good. I have not been gaming as much as I would like to be. I am about halfway through Alan Wake 2, I will say that.
Oh!
And, very good game, by the way. And, starting Thursday, I will actually be taking a vacation from work because, as we've found out today, it's Gamers Christmas Week this week. Technically starting tomorrow. As, we're gonna get to talking about later on.
Technically.
But how are you, DeMarco?
Technically starting today. At least for me, as we got to see kind of The Witcher 4, but not really The Witcher 4, which we'll dive into. I'm good.
Wow. We also saw Marvel 1943, by the way, from that meta-human test as well at the State of Unreal, which cannot believe that we actually saw a good vision of what The Witcher 4 will be, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
Well, we're gonna dive in because it's The Witcher 4, but it's not The Witcher 4, and it's gonna. Oh, I'm worried. I'm really worried for CD Projekt Red, if I'm being honest. But we'll dive more into that. I've been good. I've been working my way, chugging along through Expedition 33. So hey, Arcane. Well, let me just say hi to everybody. Arcane, American Fury. It's Timmy, BT, Drake Williams, American Fury already said hi, and of course, Arcane, who is now a mod, and I can't time him out, but not that I would want to. If you don't mind, please do leave a like. Let Red know how truly amazing we are at running the show without him. Let him know how much better it is that he's not here. So leave more likes than he's ever gotten, and more chats than he's ever gotten. And thank you, American Fury. Leave more comments and tons of praise in all the things, and say, oh my god, this show's amazing in chat. Just spam it for all of us. I've been working my way through Expedition 33. I just finished recently Act 2. Hey, Talos, welcome. I just finished Act 2. I'm in Act 3, which is a very cool way to do it, the way that they sort of section... I'm assuming Act 3 is really just like kind of... it's labeled as the epilogue, technically, is it? It's not even Act 3. It's labeled as the epilogue.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it's a lot shorter. Like, you can go straight off and just do the thing you need to, or it's an opportunity because, of course, I don't think this is really spoilers, but that's the part of the game where SKE can fly... Mon ami. And so now you have access to everything and anything in the whole map, and you can do all the cool end game stuff before you go off and do that last objective. So really, really cool way to do it. And honestly, it just made me want a sequel, because once I got to certain story things that I'm not going to spoil, and it just kind of blows the world of Expedition 33 out of the water. It was really cool. It was really cool. It's so cool. Oh man, I want to talk about it, but I'm not going to for spoilers' sake. But it's my game. I think it's my game of the year. It is. There's nothing that can come out this year that will top it as far as everything. It just has everything. It just has literally everything.
I think I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I'm pretty sure Expedition 33 is the very first game that all four of us, technically three, on the panel have agreed on a game that is a Game of the Year contender that we all have played.
Mm-hmm. And...
because Red, pretty sure, has beaten it. I've beaten it.
I'm close.
You haven't beaten it, though, yet. You're close?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm at the epilogue, and I just got to the overworld map, so I can go off and explore before doing the last, what I assume is the last objective.
Okay.
But so yeah, no, I think, and honestly, I do think it's going to win Game of the Year. I'm pretty confident in that, so I'm really excited to see. It's gonna steal the show. I genuinely think that everything in the Game Awards is just going to be, and the winner for Best Narrative is Expedition, and the winner for Best Soundtrack, and the winner for Best, like, debut Expedition 30, and the debut title, soundtrack, story, performances are probably going to win the performances category as well. At least some of the people there.
Best indie game.
Best indie game, best debut title, community vote, probably community game of the year, probably the voted game of the year. I think it's going to be the most boring Game Awards ever, because we're just gonna keep watching and hearing the Expedition 33. Not that I'm upset about hearing the Expedition 33 soundtrack, but you know, like how they play the music as the people walk. You're just gonna be hearing Expedition 33, the same guy walking up on stage. They're gonna get up on the stage. He's gonna go, I don't even effing know what to say anymore. Thank you to the joke of what was it? Get off the stage, like wrap up, please wrap it up.
Yeah.
He's gonna have the opposite. The meme's gonna be the opposite this year, where it's like, please talk longer. We need to extend the show for the advertisers. Because how many he's gonna have sitting there like, I'm gonna thank my second twice removed cousin, Joni, and they're like, no, you already thanked her. Okay, I'm gonna have to thank did I thank my neighbor's cat for that one time it made me smile when I walked outside on a cloudy day?
We're just going that far.
I genuinely think.
Can we both agree though? Can we both agree for the Game Awards? Like, every year they pick a game where the Game Awards orchestra like does a song from a certain soundtrack from a Game of the Year nominee. Can we please do that this year with Expedition 33? Just like pick one of the songs from that game and just have the Game Awards orchestra just like do its thing in the middle of the awards ceremony.
From the 8 hours of music to pull from.
Like they did with Herald of Darkness with Alan Wake 2 a couple years back. I now understand that song now.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I think they're gonna get that show. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. I know it's just assassin. It's the BT says DeMarco as for SS in show. Here you go. I got a feeling Jeff will give it to PlayStation exclusive game Yotai or Kojima. Honestly, I don't think so. I think you're really gonna have people already don't trust the Game Awards. You're really Jeff has to do this just for credibility,
for its PlayStation bias.
He has to give it to them just for like anything else besides a PlayStation game for the credibility of the show. I honestly think that there's a lot of politics that go on in all this stuff. I'm fairly confident there's a lot of politics that go on in all this stuff. So ultimately, you know, I think as many people could call the Game Awards, it's a reveal, a game showcase with some awards thrown in. Last year's was pretty good though. I remember last year's they had a much better balance than the previous few.
Yes. I hope that they keep that for Summer Game Fest later this week. And last year we had 10 world premieres in celebration for 10 years of the Game Awards. So that was nice.
So we're going to do 11 world premieres now?
I think we'll probably wait till like the 20-year anniversary and then we'll have like 20 world premieres and just keep going on from there.
Oh my god, that'd be insane.
Oh my god.
20 world premiere! He would break the internet.
By the time the 20th anniversary of the Game Awards comes out, Fallout 5 may come out the following year.
You would need to have Fallout 5, Elder Scrolls 7 teased. You would need to have Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption 3. You would need to have a Kojima game. You would need to have something...
A From Software game.
New From Software game. New Resident Evil.
Larian's next game.
And Warhorse. Let's get something from Warhorse. And CD Projekt. Let's get Cyberpunk 2 as well.
And Capcom.
You just need every single thing.
Capcom, for God's sake.
How much would it cost? How much
Pretty
do you think
much,
it would?
yeah.
How much do you think it would cost to get every studio? For Jeff Keighley to be like, all right, it's the 20th anniversary of the Game Awards. I want 20 world premieres from all of the biggest names in gaming. How much do you think he would have to pay each studio to furlough their game development or to prolong their game development so it all matches that timeline?
It's not a matter of Jeff paying them. It's a matter of can he convince them to like, hey, can you please show off your biggest game that you're working on?
No, he
They'll
can't
give
do
you a
that.
discount to show it off.
Give you a discount. American Jeff is a pony. I think he has his preferences, like anybody does. That's the thing. I think he has his preferences. I don't know. Arcane.
He just needs to keep that side of him shut.
I called you Arcane. I'm sorry. Assassin, you both start with A. It's fine. I'm tired. I had a long day. Do you?
Yeah, I get it.
Do you think that Jeff Keighley is a pony, or do you just think he's biased? Do you think he actively goes out of his way to make sure that PlayStation, you know, he is so biased that he needs to have PlayStation get the center of attention whenever possible? Or do you think he just has his preferences and he happens to like the games that Sony makes?
I think it's both. I think he is a big fan of PlayStation. I think on some level he is definitely biased towards PlayStation. I don't think it's to the absolute extremes that some people say, but I will say that every gamer has a preference as to what their favorite platform is. Like, you prefer PC, Red and Holly prefer Xbox, I prefer PlayStation. But the thing about being a presenter or a host for a gaming show that's supposed to be about everybody, you're supposed to keep that preferential side of yourself you're supposed to keep it buried down.
Yeah,
you're not
in the
supposed
professional,
to,
yeah.
You're not supposed to be expressive about one platform over the other. Like I completely agree with the Xbox community that he is way too favorable to PlayStation announcements. That Indiana Jones coming to PlayStation announcements, I think that was just over the top in my opinion. And if Final Fantasy VII Remake and or 16 get announced for Xbox on Sunday, I do not see Jeff making a big deal of it at all. I mean, he even got a flack for not being invited to the Nintendo event where they showed off the Switch 2. And he got all pissy about it, and he does not put out a good example of himself as an unbiased host of a gaming showcase where not just the big three are supposed to be celebrated equally, but everybody else too.
Yeah.
So
preach.
And his relationship with Kojima, I get why a lot of people are concerned about how there could be some bias there. It's, in my opinion, gaming developers of all calibers should not be on the committee to decide who should be nominated and who shouldn't. Because I'm pretty sure that Kojima is one of them. And I think some game developers are on that panel. Not all of them, but a good portion. So
yeah,
either he stops that preferential bias, or someone else has to take over. Someone who can absolutely show complete unbiased attention to everybody.
There are some rising stars. There's a lot of smaller showcases that do happen. Even Game Awards. There's a lot of Game Award shows that do. There was one that was pretty recent, within like the past 12 months, that I can't remember. Holly, I know, was really excited for it, and they had some exciting reveals, but just no. And they even had, I think it was Ben Starr was there showing something off. So they had some reveals for it. It was a much smaller show. I cannot even for the life of me remember what the name is. And nobody really tuned into it. Nobody tuned in. It's just these shows get way, way too much draw. And why would a Ubisoft, or why would a Take-Two, or why would I was going to say Bethesda, but now that's Microsoft. Why would any of these companies say, oh yeah, we're going to skip, unless they're doing their own thing, hey, we're going to skip the big Summer Games Fest to do that tiny thing over there, because that seems cool. No, that's not how they think. They want eyes. They want you watching. They want to know that there's going to be eyeballs and impressions and everybody consuming it. So these smaller shows just don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. American says he probably doesn't feel he has to be. What else? Where else are you going to get developers in the same place like the Game Awards? He knows how important. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And there's no competition that can jump. You know, again, there are other Game Award shows. There's the Golden Joystick Awards, for example. Which that's a show.
No one tunes in for those.
No one tunes in because he doesn't have the announcements, because they don't have, I don't want to say they don't have the publisher support. They do, because obviously they're giving a lot of these awards away, but they just don't have the announcements. And realistically, that's why people are watching the shows. They don't. What percentage do you think? What percent? Here, I can't put out a poll because I'm not actually logged in. I said, what percentage of people do you think actually watch the show for the awards? I would say it's probably 10% or less.
Honestly, in my opinion, there are definitely, I would say maybe 5% of gamers actually tune in for mainly the Game of the Year award. But let's be real, 99% of people that tune in, they're there for the announcements. They're there to see any updates on games that they want to play, or any new announcements that may show up, because it is the quote-unquote biggest events for the industry every year. Yes, we have Summer Game Fest, we have not E3, where Sony and or Microsoft, maybe Nintendo show up in June all together. But there's like American Fury said, there's like no other events to where all of us can come together and see what's new. See what's coming.
I love too that there's so many people now that are like, man, I miss E3. And I'm not saying that these are the same people, but I think a lot of folks forget that they really started to hate E3. That they were really like, man, E3's going downhill. E3 sucks. and now they look at Summer Games Fest and they go, back in my day we had E3 and it was a good show. Oh, obviously,
literally with a lot of with a lot of reactions to that state of play announcement earlier today. I saw a lot of people on Reddit all throughout the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit like, I miss E3.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
so
I miss
speaking of
when Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, all the big publishers would have their own showcases. It'd be like a week of non-stop just gaming goodness.
Yeah, and man, I wish I would have had the opportunity to go to.
And you know what that's
what I loved about it was when, like, for example, remember there's an interview that I still see from time to time where Todd Howard is sitting down with Ryan McCaffrey from IGN. You could see like the E3 stage show floor behind him. I think they're just sitting there, and there were because everything was locked into this one place. I feel like there was so many more opportunities for something like an IGN or a Rock Paper Shotgun or whoever. I know a lot of people don't like IGN, but because they're as big as they are, they get to cover a lot of things, right? So I remember there was so many more opportunities for a developer to say, well, we're going to actually sit down with this journalism site or even sometimes creator, and we're going to show off 10 minutes of the game or 15 minutes of the game running. And there was still the rest of E3 going on. There might have even been a showcase going on one of the stage floors. But like, these developers had the time to sit back and go, all right, this is when we're previewing 15 minutes of footage from our game. We teased it at the main event, sort of the opening day. And then they had the opportunity to say, okay, now we're going to show. And those that's what I miss the most from Summer Games Fest, is when games had time to breathe and they would go, okay, here's the game, here's a cool trailer and like sizzle reel for it, and now we're going to show you 15 minutes of gameplay, just uncut or like, you know, a little bit chopped up to speed things along. And we don't get as much of that anymore. And that's the part I miss.
You don't have to do what I suggest, but I highly recommend you do it, DeMarco. There's this, out of all the E3 showcases that I still go back and watch, the PlayStation E3 2016 showcase, that is one for the history books. Starting out with God of War and then just going straight into gameplay for a good 5-6 minutes. Announcing Spider-Man and Ratchet, just completely just out of a whim. Uncharted had just came out. They showed off Horizon. First gameplay of Days Gone. They showed off the trailer, and Sean Layden came out at the very end and said, hey, so do you remember that game earlier in the show, Days Gone? Well, we wanted to show off the gameplay. It turns out we have about a good 5-10 minutes of Days Gone gameplay. Here you go.
It was awesome!
And they showed off Detroit, and they showed off Resident Evil 7 Biohazard for the first time, and when that title screen showed up, showing Resident Evil, the crowd went insane. It's like, that's Resident Evil? Are you fucking kidding? It's just that level of excitement from the crowd. Just hearing pure joy and pure happiness from everybody.
And
I miss that. I guarantee you, if Microsoft had done last year's showcase at the Microsoft Theater, like they did with previous E3s, dear Lord, everyone would have had broken eardrums with how excited everyone would have been.
And you got funny
Jesus
moments
Christ.
too. Like I remember it was when, I think it was, because Fallout 76 was shown when Bethesda did beat E3 at the time. E3 was still around. And I remember, do you remember the person who was shouting when Fallout 76 was going, and they were like, yeah, woo! And they were just like obnoxious. Like, you got funny moments like that too. And
the hype man, didn't they do that with Doom Eternal too as well?
Oh yeah, maybe.
They had that hype man in the front.
So Anyway, speaking of showcases, though, Barry is asking, anyone got any state of play predictions? Arcane, and thank you, Arcane. Yeah, I just put out a video. Oh, that's also just sort of what I've been up to on top of Expedition 33. Been getting my predictions out. So I have one for the Xbox showcase, and I have one for the Summer Games Fest showcase that is happening on Friday and Sunday for those two shows. So you can check those out if you're interested.
I love how you put out a video for both of them, for Summer Game Fest and Xbox, and then Sony just comes in today and says, hey, you need to do a video about us.
They saw my videos. They're like, man, DeMarco's getting some views. Let's make sure he covers State of Play. Speaking of State of Play,
you know what would be the funniest thing, though?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
No, go, because I'm going to transition into the State of Play. So what would be the funniest thing?
Okay. No, the funniest thing for me, tomorrow when they do the State of Play, I would die laughing if Nintendo comes in and says, hey, we got a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct next week as well. Like, god damn it. Okay. That's not going to happen, but man.
Calm down.
1 week getting Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo in 1 week.
Like the good old days.
Anyway.
Like the good old days.
But you know what is coming tomorrow?
Tomorrow is the Sony PlayStation State of Play. Is it going to be a 40-minute show, and it is at 11 or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Oh, so maybe I could actually live stream it. I didn't realize it was at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific, and it will be on YouTube and Twitch, broadcast in English. So there you go. News updates on great games coming to PlayStation 5. Not really much else to go on other than that, and they just announced it today. So I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't know what's going on with PlayStation anymore. I know that my knowledge of PlayStation is canceled project, development trouble, and I'm not saying that because I'm an Xbox stan or I'm a PlayStation hater. I just don't know what's happening anymore. I don't know. There's the Horizon MMO. I think that's not been canceled yet. Right?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, so there's that. Marathon is a thing.
Is not looking too good. Please don't be there tomorrow, Bungie. I'm begging you.
What if that's 15 minutes of the 40 minutes?
I will cry, and I will blame you specifically for putting that out there as a possibility.
It's just 15 minutes of Marathon.
Oh my god.
Finish. So you're a bit. I want to say that Assassin, you have a much better memory than I do of like current events going on. So I'm really gonna put you on the spot here, and sort of throw you out into the winds. And what's been going on with PlayStation? Like, what do they have in the pipeline? What's to look forward to? Because I know that Microsoft, stellar lineup, incredible lineup. I think it's going to be one of their best showcases this year in a while, if I'm being honest. What does PlayStation have? Which it makes sense why they're not doing a big show. It's a 40-minute thing, right? We know why, because they don't have as much to show. And that's fine. But what do we have to look forward to?
Well, in terms of what we have looking forward to on the PlayStation side, everyone knows that Insomniac is working very hard on Wolverine. I will be very shocked if it is there tomorrow, though. I do think on some level that the game has been completely rebooted from scratch, narrative-wise. I think after those leaks, they want to actually surprise their fans, and they actually want to do something different. Naughty Dog we did get word from Neil Druckmann that there is a second game being worked at Naughty Dog alongside Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Something that he's just producing. He's not the creative director. He's letting a separate team do their own thing. Sony Santa Monica, Cory Barlog has been working on a supposedly sci-fi action adventure game since 2018, since he did God of War 2018.
That might be the... Do you think that'll be the big thing? Do you think
I would be shocked if they are there because...
Okay.
Okay, there is something that I do know because it got leaked. I don't think you want me to say it, but this is PlayStation related, though.
Is it something I would actually care? Is it a single-player, story-driven game?
It is a okay. Think God of War, Metroidvania.
Oh, it's the 2.5D, right? God of War game?
2.5D.
Yeah, that I heard about.
God of War, Metroidvania.
Was that
playing as Deimos?
Was that a leak? I thought that was they just publicly said that.
No, that was not publicly said. It has been leaked earlier today.
Oh, okay. All right, so that'll definitely be making an appearance, and I think that'll make a lot of people very happy that Sony is drifting into some interesting, different style of games. That's pretty cool.
It's not being worked on by Sony Santa Monica. It's actually being worked on by a third party. Sony Santa Monica is overseeing the project. It's being described as playing similar to Blasphemous and Hades. The art style is supposedly the same as Hades.
Honestly,
very interesting prospect there.
It's a really cool, especially as a Metroidvania. It's a really cool concept, because I for one can say that I really appreciate when these studios try to do more creative things with the IPs. So I always think, for example, to Thronebreaker from The Witcher. I think that is a perfect scenario of a studio saying, let's use this IP and let's do something a bit different. And of course it was like sort of Gwent repackaged into this single player experience, but they added in choice and consequence, they added in exploration, right? There was secrets to find and puzzles and all these really cool things that they threw in. I said, this is, and then you had sort of this overworld that was a 2.5D style thing. And I looked at that and went, this is pretty damn cool. Like, this is a neat concept. So to see that with God of War, I think is a fantastic use of the IP. Because ultimately, God of War fans aren't going to be so pissed off that they have more God of War. And if they're like, well, I just only care to play as Kratos, or I only want the third person action, big guy swinging a hammer or an axe, then
you are going to play as Kratos during your time in Greece before you become the God of War.
Okay, so they get a little bit of Kratos in there. Which I think is a
very interesting narrative perspective.
Yeah, so you get a little bit of lore in there. So that's pretty cool, actually. That is pretty neat. I can't imagine though. That we have that, but not something from Santa Monica, which would be their new sci-fi IP.
Honestly, if Cory Barlog shows up at all and shows off his next game, it's time. God of War 2018 came out 7 years ago. Think about that. It's been 7 years since Cory Barlog has taken center stage on his next AAA game. I think it's about time we see it either. If we don't see it at the State of Play, I can honestly see that being a Game Awards announcement, like Naughty Dog did last year. I guarantee we are not getting out of 2025 without seeing Cory Barlog's new game. I cannot imagine that we will.
All right, somebody clip it. Somebody clip that. Make sure it stays. And if we don't get it, then we'll wag our finger at you or something. I don't know. That's up to Red. I'm just an intern. I don't have any power here. So.
Well, as far as continuing on for PlayStation first party, we did get a rumor earlier this year from Mag, who is Colt Eastwood's co-host on X and C. He does his own thing. He did mention that there is a first party game. He doesn't know if it's going to be announced this year, but considering the State of Play, I think it's a possibility that it could be there. And the thing is that apparently it's I don't remember if he said if it was a remake or a new game in the series, but apparently Siphon Filter is coming back.
What the heck is that?
Siphon Filter, it was a PlayStation 1, PS2 super secret spy series like Splinter Cell, like Metal Gear, that was being made by Ben Studio, who did Days Gone back in the original PlayStation days.
Okay. All right.
And I mean, with Splinter Cell coming back as a remake, Metal Gear also, getting a remake for the third game, it would make sense that Sony would want a super secret spy stealth espionage age exclusive in their lineup. You don't really get a lot of stealth games nowadays, aside from Hitman.
Aside from Hitman and coming 007. Lotus says, Siphon was awesome. Welcome, Lotus, by the way. Siphon Filter was awesome. I guess I will have to check it out. Honestly, I gotta be honest, hearing some of these stuff is actually pretty... While they might not have as much to show off, right? They just won't have the sheer volume of things. The things that they do have do sound pretty cool. Something from Santa Monica as a possibility.
There are a lot of unannounced games from Sony Interactive Entertainment that I think they really need to get out there. Another thing,
what about
another
remasters?
Game that actually remasters.
How many
Honestly,
remasters?
if it's not Bloodborne, I don't give a crap. If it's not Bloodborne, do not show me a remaster.
Bloodborne on PC?
Yes, Bloodborne on PC, remastered 60 FPS patch for PS5. That would be nice. If you're not going to put Demon Souls on PC, put Bloodborne on PC.
Oh boy, Vay. I'm curious if the next thing we have to really remaster that I like in terms of memeable remasters would probably be the Spider-Man games. And after seeing them do Horizon, which I get it, a lot of people like Horizon, and there's some tweaks to the remaster that are really cool, like some really small things, but I thought it was so utterly useless, if I'm being just my honest opinion. The next memeable one,
$50.
oh god, the price is just, that's not okay. They shouldn't charge for these upgrades, honestly. They shouldn't. I think I've voiced my opinions on that.
That's one
stuff
thing
before.
I will give Microsoft credit for. Free upgrades, that I will give Microsoft complete credit for that. I wish Sony and Nintendo would do that, because that would bring a lot of goodwill, but we know how greedy those two can be.
Money. Vote with your wallets, people.
But I do have a question, DeMarco.
Okay.
Did you like Returnal?
I didn't play Returnal.
Well, we are getting, I think it was last year or the State of Play earlier this year, they were showing Housemarque's next game, Saros. A new third-person roguelike similar to Returnal. If anyone who's ever played that game, you kind of know what to expect. Stuck again on a hostile alien world where every time you die, you have to start all over again, just like with Returnal. Apparently, I think they said it at the last State of Play that we are going to get a gameplay reveal for this summer. And obviously, we're currently in the summer. They announced the State of Play for tomorrow. You can obviously put 2 and 2 together.
That is how seasons work.
I have no doubt that we are seeing Saros tomorrow.
Okay, so Saros, God of War 2.5D. Maybe a little bit of Heretic Prophet.
Do you think we will see... Intergalactic. It has been 5 years since...
Why did I think it was Heretic Prophet?
2?
Where did I even get that from? Where did that come from?
I don't know. I just call it Intergalactic.
Because it's called Intergalactic the Heretic. I thought...
Yeah,
for a second, I thought I just made up a name, and I was like, "Yeah, that's the name of the game."
Do we see it tomorrow, though?
Hey, Fark, how's it going? Welcome. The interns have taken over the stream tonight. That's me and Assassin. We're the interns.
Hello, FarQ.
Intergalactic.
Do we see it tomorrow?
No,
you think we will?
I don't believe so, because I feel as though if they were going to show off Intergalactic, then they would make it a bigger deal, because it's a Naughty Dog game, right? Everyone will tune in for a Naughty Dog. They would announce, "Hey, we got something really cool." They wouldn't just drop it the day before going, oh, by the way, we have a conference too, which is how I feel Sony did it. We have a showcase over here also. They did it early. They did it early in the week.
Spoiled this week.
They did it early in the week because they know if they did it after all these other showcases, that people would be tuned out. They'd be too excited about all the other stuff. So they're like, we need to make sure that people see ours. Hey, Next Gen Nero, welcome. What's good?
I honestly, going back to PlayStation, I would honestly say that we might get a new trailer for Ghost of Yotei. I don't think it's going to be anything significant because obviously they'll probably want to do its own like confined state of play. They did it with Ghost of Tsushima like a few weeks before that game launched. They had a dedicated state of play for that game specifically. I would think they wanted to do it again for Ghost of Yotei. So I think we may see it in some way or capacity. I think it just might be a small trailer to show off Atsu, the new protagonist, like a character trailer or something of that nature. They do have Lost Soul Aside coming in August. That is a third-party exclusive, but it is being published by PlayStation. It is coming to PC as well, day one. I know Red is very excited for that.
Bloober Team, I feel as though this is going to be a Summer Games Fest thing, which I put out in my video. But what is it called? Oh man,
Chronos the New Dawn.
Yes, thank you. Is that, do they have, like Bloober partners with PlayStation, or am I misremembering that?
I think Konami partners with PlayStation more often.
Okay.
Bloober Team, I think, is kind of I think Bloober is more of a neutral type of studio. I think they prefer to show off just whenever they're ready.
They don't swing one way or the other. They're open to both.
That Chronos seems like a Summer Game Fest thing. I will agree with you on that. As far as anything else for party, do you think we will see the new games from Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica tomorrow?
I've already said no to Naughty Dog, right? No to Naughty Dog.
Because the past 3 state of plays, at the very end of the show, they always have a new first party announcement. Last year they had Ghost of Yotei announced at the very end. They had Saros last time. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had something new at the very end.
I would want to say that it's going to be whatever Santa Monica's working on. If I had to make a guess or a prediction, I would say the big surprise would be whatever Santa Monica has cooking. And if that is the case, I'm just baffled that they're doing this all with so little fanfare, because that's huge, right? The God of War studio that made God of War is now working on their next project. Give everybody a day's notice.
This will be the first time.
It's weird. It's a weird strategy.
Sony Santa Monica has been doing God of War since forever, since the studio was first founded. If we see this tomorrow, this will be the very first new IP from Sony Santa Monica since the studio's inception. They've never done anything else besides God of War.
It's a big deal.
And if they show that off tomorrow, it's going to do numbers. Ghost of Yotei, I remember after that state of play was announced, everyone was just talking about it for days. Sony Santa Monica could easily do the same thing with this new IP if they decide to show it. Lotus, by the way, Infamous. I swear to God, if Infamous shows up at any point tomorrow, I will scream my throat out. Because I would really love a next-gen PS5 Infamous. Holy moly, that would be nice. But we're not. I'm just gonna set my expectations low. But what about you, Demar? Do you even care about Infamous? Would you like to see a new Infamous?
Infamous isn't something I ever got into, but I will say, if there's one game, I don't care where it shows up, that I want to see at any point in time, ever, period, for the rest of my life, it's Hulk Ultimate Destruction. I want Hulk Ultimate Destruction. I don't care. Listen, you want me to buy a PlayStation 6 or the next gen Xbox or whatever system, you want me to buy a Nintendo Switch 4, put Hulk Ultimate Destruction remastered on it, and I will be there. Day one, I will be there. That is what I want.
I'm just imagining this scenario playing out. Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction remake.
Yes!
Yes! PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Yes, and I don't care. I want to get my truck hands and my car hands and smash them together, and I want to sumo clap people, and I want to smash buildings, and I want to throw cars and trucks and pick people up and put them down gently and pat them on the head, which is a thing you could do in the game. Jonas, welcome. He says, Assassin the Throat Goat. Show me some of them throat. Can you throat goat for us? Is that possible?
I cannot throw goats with my throat. I wish I could.
He did it before the stream, everybody. I'm sorry, you missed it. That's why we started late today. And everybody who is here, thank you so much for watching and tuning in.
Questions though, DeMarco.
Be sure to but just be sure to let everybody know how much you are liking the stream as the interns, myself and Assassin, are taking over without Red being here. Let him know how much better the show is, and say he's missed, but not really that missed because you're having so much fun. Anyway, Arcane says, you want a real Dark Horse reveal prediction? Whatever the former Rocksteady devs at 100 Star are working on. I didn't even know. What is 100 Star?
So 100 Star, it's a new studio from Sefton Hill, who everyone here would know.
Oh, this is...
They did the Arkham trilogy.
Right, oh.
They left Rocksteady a couple years ago, and they founded a new studio called 100 Star Games. It's in the UK. Supposedly, they are in partnership with Microsoft for the game that they're working on. I honestly would... If that game is ready to show off, I would expect that at the Xbox showcase. If that rumor is true. If it's not, if they aren't working with Microsoft, then yeah, maybe it'll show up tomorrow. Maybe, if it's ready. You didn't know about this?
Well, you know what? The studio was announced in 2024. January 2024 is an article that I'm seeing.
Oh, so last year. Okay. Then yeah, that's too early then. Hell no.
January 2024 is the earliest article I'm seeing. 100 Star. Their website is just a singular page, and it says 100 Star... 100 people, AAA games, London. And then there's a button that says apply for membership. Actually, I could just bring this over. All right, this is their whole website right here. Their whole website. And if you click apply for membership, you can go for info and jobs. And if you click either of these buttons, it will just bring up... you could see actually in the bottom left, the little thing that pops up here. It just brings up your mail. So you can only email them from either of these buttons. So that's interesting.
Wow. Interesting. Huh.
But it would make sense, Sefton Hill being former... Oh! Lotus! Member for 7 months, Renegade Renner. Thank you! He says the two of you are doing a great job. Thank you! Thank you so much. I know. Let everybody know. Let everybody know it. Because we want to prove to Red... that we're important.
Joke that we joke that we have this little bit of rivalry between me and DeMarco. How he always disagrees with what I say, but when it comes to gaming, we're both just buds. We just want to see great games and we want to play great games.
You joke. I go off camera and then cry about how much I think you hate me after the streams end.
Okay.
James Bond game. Talos says James Bond game would be cool. We're getting a separate showcase. Watch my video that I put out today. We're getting a separate showcase on that, so we'll have to wait and see for it. But it's not. We're certainly not going to be seeing 007 at the PlayStation showcase. I wanna make sure that
Interactive is actually doing their own showcase.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to put that out there. IO Interactive is doing their own showcase later this week. I don't remember which day it is. but they got some news for Hitman. They are going to show off Project 007. They're going to show off gameplay. I could not believe the leak for that game, but if it is true, holy mother of God. And we are going to get a deep dive into Mind's Eye, which, let's be real, that game just does not look good at all.
Oh, there was news.
Yeah, IO's getting ready to show 3 games this week.
There was news about Mind's Eye. Did you see the legal person, the head of the legal department, left today?
Yes, I saw that.
There were two.
No, red flag all the way.
Oh man, what was it? Mind's Eye. Let me just get this right. 2 executives from Build a Rocket Boy, the studio behind Mind's Eye, has left the company just 1 week before the game launches. It was the former chief legal officer, in addition to Riley Paul Bland, the former chief financial officer. So the CFO and the legal expert left a week before your game goes out.
I think we all know why.
Oh no!
We don't really need to speculate as to why they left.
Speaking of, Lotus! Oh no, you didn't need to do that. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. He said you're amazing. I don't know which one of us he was talking to though, so I'm gonna assume it was you, Assassin. You're doing amazing.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about you.
No, it's you. You're amazing, Assassin. You're amazing. Maybe he was talking about chat. Maybe he was talking about chat. You're amazing, chat. Anyway, any last thoughts about Sony, just to keep things moving along? Any last thoughts about Sony State of Play? I'm actually having discussed it with you now. Again, I really didn't know what was going on with Sony, other than a lot of canceled projects. So now getting to speak about it and getting to hear more on it, I'm actually kind of excited. I think they'll have at least one bigger surprise. Maybe it's Santa Monica's game, maybe it's not Santa Monica's game, but I think it will be one bigger surprise, right? A AAA, their bread and butter, their story-driven blockbuster title. And I'm excited that I don't know what that is, but knowing one of those things will probably be there does get me excited about it. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, well, last thought. Well, just we technically only talked about their first party lineup. There's obviously going to be a lot of third party that's we could probably quickly go through it, but
sure.
As far as PlayStation first party goes, the 2.5 Metroidvania God of War game, obviously I would love to see that there. Santa Monica's next game, Saros, and maybe that one extra surprise. I think those are the only first party games that will be there. As far as third party, I want to get this out of the way because I know Arcane actually brought this up earlier.
Go for it.
Resident Evil 9. Now, I did not know this because this technically leaked today. Sony and Capcom's marketing contract for Resident Evil, it expired last year. As of now, Capcom is no longer obligated to show off Resident Evil at any PlayStation event. They are officially out of the PlayStation marketing circle. So, with that being said, will Resident Evil 9 show up tomorrow or Summer Game Fest? I'm voting for Summer Game Fest because of this news. I do not expect to see Resident Evil 9 tomorrow. But, DeMarco, you may disagree with me. You go ahead.
Is there a reason why it can't be renewed?
If they were going to renew it, they would have done it last year. There's a reason that apparently... I don't know what the reason is, but for some reason Capcom did not want to renew that contract.
Interesting. I wonder if they... You know what? I have to imagine it didn't get renewed because if I had to wager a guess, right, I would say that probably has something to deal with studio like Capcom is looking at the Microsoft strategy and how Microsoft is going everywhere, and they're seeing PlayStation's isolationist policy, and they're looking at that going, we see the direction the winds are blowing, which is everything is trending towards. Oh, Barry Donnellan sends 10 didgeridoos. Great work, lads. Thank you, Barry Donnellan, for the 10 didgeridoos. Really greatly appreciate it. See, let Red know.
You don't know the currency, do you?
Let Red know. I do know that. I just said the currency. They're didgeridoos.
Is that really what it's called?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. They're didgeridoos.
I'm so sorry.
Barry, tell them they're didgeridoos.
Oh, dear. I'm gonna get canceled.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, my God. Resident Evil 9 tomorrow. Go. Do you think we will see it at all this week? And what do you want to see from it?
Resident Evil 9, I do expect we'll see. I want to see. I would like to see that they're doing a first person. I know that there's the rumors has been either that they're doing both or that they are going back to a third person. I like the first person perspective. I think especially when it came to a game like Resident Evil Biohazard, they did horror really well, and honestly, I miss having good horror games. There is supposedly Alien Isolation 2 that's being worked on, but we haven't heard anything of that in a long time. And the studio that made some of the best horror games, which were the developers behind Amnesia, those folks, I think that studio is basically moved on, most of those team members, and I don't know, they haven't really made a great horror game in my opinion. Amnesia, the bunker was good, but it still doesn't live up to the glory of the Dark Descent. I think that's a really hard, really big shoes to fill. So anyway, long story long, right, is I want to see the first person just for the atmosphere, and I want them to lean into the horror vibe. I suspect they're not renewing because, again, they're looking at which direction all this is heading, which is to say that they want to be able to have their games everywhere and not be restricted the way PlayStation is. PlayStation needs to adapt with the times. And ultimately, if that is the case, it means, yeah, Summer Games Fest would be the place for it to show off, which is cool that it's going to get that stage presence because it's Resident Evil carries a lot of weight. And I know a lot of people are very eagerly anticipating to see what Capcom does with the direction of that series now that the Winters story is done, which was a really solid run for Resident Evil. It's what made me interested in Resident Evil. So, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's been... Resident Evil Village came out in 2021, almost 4 years ago. RE4 Remake came out more than 2 years ago. It's definitely time for a new Resident Evil entry just in general. I still believe that Resident Evil 9 will be shown off at Summer Game Fest. I do think that we are going to get Leon Kennedy as one of the two main protagonists. I think there will be two protagonists this time, just like Alan Wake did it with Alan and Saga, which, again, currently playing, absolutely amazing. I think Capcom is going to do two protagonists with RE9, Leon and a new face to once again bring in a new crowd for this entry and maybe bring back the older fans for Leon. I do think that they will once again lean into the survival horror elements because that is what makes Resident Evil Resident Evil. Anything else beyond that is just speculatory. Like, we can debate whether it be first or third, if it's going to be more linear or open world. But linear. I just want to see it, and then I'll give my judgment when we do see it.
First person, dive into the horror. None of that nonsense they did with Village where they were like, ooh, it was too scary. We turned it down because it was so scary. I hated those comments so much. None of that nonsense. Make it linear, make it story-driven, make it first-person, make it ooze horror, put plenty of gore and gross stuff in it. Like, I want to see some body horror. And additionally, make it $50.
A $50 Resident Evil game. I am so confident that will not happen. That if Resident Evil 9 is retailed at $50... only at $50. If that happens, I will gift 10 people in this chat 10 copies of RE9.
Clip it!
Because I know that's not going to happen.
Clip it!
I know that's not going to happen.
No, it's not. No, Capcom would never.
That's not going to happen.
No, Capcom would never.
No. As much as I love Capcom, they are one of the many publishers who are again advocating for the $70 price. Not for every game. I mean, Ni no Kuni was $40, but Resident Evil, like, that is their biggest franchise, so obviously that's going to be $70.
Probably 80. Not very consumer friendly. But what is consumer friendly is CD Projekt Red. And CD Projekt Red has just released new footage from The Witcher 4, but not actually from The Witcher 4, but kind of from The Witcher 4, but it's not really The Witcher 4. But it's The Witcher 4, but it's not technically The Witcher 4. So Unreal had their Unreal 5 tech demo today. Assassin was just watching this before the show alongside his throat goating, and they released, there's about 14 minutes of Witcher 4, air quotes, footage. Now, the reason why I say emphasis on air quotes is because CD Projekt Red came out and clarified. I want to find the exact phrasing just to make sure that I get this verbiage correct. That is to say, where is the message? Anyway, while I try to find it, essentially, in summary, what they had stated was that this is built, the engine demo was built in the world of The Witcher, but it is not actual gameplay, and it wasn't representative of the final game in pretty much any capacity. So what that means is, while everything looked beautiful, it was at the end of the day, tech demo. And what is a tech demo meant to do? It's meant to show off what is possible, but not what's plausible. So you can have these beautiful, and I'm going to pull up the footage so all of you can take a look at it right here. And we'll put this on play, and I'll make sure that this is put at 2K quality there so you guys can all see the really incredible looking footage for this game. But ultimately, none of this is real. It's not actual gameplay. It's just showing off the maximum capacity that Unreal Engine 5 can handle, specifically when it comes to Unreal 5.6 and Unreal 5.7. That's going to be the latest releases for this. Now, they showed off some really impressive technology. I'm going to run through just some of the highlights of the demo. It was taking place in a region of Kovir. So if anything is true about this, I would say the landscape, kind of the aesthetic, kind of the feel and look of it, entirely going to translate to the final product. It takes place in Kovir, so we know officially know the setting for The Witcher 4, and it has up to 300 individually animated NPCs that it's able to handle. Again, that is one of the tech demo parts. It emphasizes the open world scale, so a lot of games struggle with having these massive open worlds while they're rendering all the detail that Unreal Engine is capable of, and doing so efficiently. So it showed off, and it's going to, in just a little bit, the camera's going to start panning around and going through it very, very quickly, showing off just how much is possible. You're seeing some of the underlying technology at this point. You're seeing some of the underlying technology powering what is possible with Unreal 5.6 and 5.7, which is to say that the animations operate with realistic muscle movements blended by the skeletal structure that manipulate each individual thing, and then that's reflected on the skin of the horse, and that applies to NPCs, humans as well, and other animals and creatures in the game. And then you could see just how the world is rendering very, very dense foliage on this scale. So you have lush environments that has high density foliage with lifelike detail, And each of these individual tree branches and leaves and pine needles on each of these things are being rendered in real time at massively high fidelity. Same with like the water that can realistically move. And obviously all built with ray tracing. Couple more details. They showed off seamless. Oh, the one of the big elements was also clothing. So they showed off how clothing and cloth and all of that moves realistically. Whereas, before, like even in The Witcher 3, you had sort of swords clipping through the cloaks and armors and stuff like that. Now, if you're wearing cloaks, it all of the fabric realistically moves, which ties into what was talked about regarding sort of the muscular structures of the horse. Nobody can argue, and I'm going to wrap up soon, and then Assassin, you can kind of give some of your thoughts. Nobody can argue that it looks absolutely incredible. That it doesn't look absolutely incredible, and here you're seeing how quickly it's moving through the world while maintaining that high level of detail. So nobody can argue that it doesn't look incredible, but this is not the game. This is not the game. And so my concern for The Witcher 4 really is that they're showing all of this off, and it's going to be almost another Cyberpunk situation where people look at this and go, oh my god, it looks so good. And then when we get the game and it's not this, and people go, what was that? What was that demo you showed? What was that? What was that sneaky little demo you had there? Assassin, what are your thoughts?
Well, if it's about CD Projekt Red and their ability to disappoint their communities at their launches, there's really nothing more I can say. But regarding the tech demo itself, you can see that CD Projekt Red definitely has a mastery of what they're known for, the open world genre, which they have said recently is their niche. But keep in mind, like you've said, this is not The Witcher 4 at all. This is just a vision of what is possible with Unreal Engine 5, what they could do in terms of making The Witcher 4. One thing I did want to point out when I did watch the demo itself, I love the reactability of the NPCs as the camera went around the town square.
I don't think that's going to happen.
And seeing how every
either.
NPC has its... What's that?
I think that's part of the tech demo aspect.
Oh. Well, in that case, I mean, it looks great. I mean, like I've said, see, this is basically a possibility of what CD Projekt Red could do when making The Witcher 4 in Unreal Engine 5, but anything else besides that? I mean, I'm not saying I'm deeply concerned for The Witcher 4, but considering how they launched Cyberpunk a few years ago, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. And them saying that this is running on a base PlayStation 5 at 60 frames?
Yes.
As a tech demo, yes, that's obviously true. But this, again, this is not the full game. At all. Like, we need to see that game running in Unreal Engine 5, not as a tech demo, but as an actual game. And it's going to be a while before we do see it. It'll probably be a next-gen release, if I'm being honest. But, again, what they've shown today with this tech demo, I'm excited for what could be, but will it be?
So
that remains to be seen.
I'm curious too, because they showed off, so what you're seeing here in the footage, you're seeing while Ciri is off talking to sort of a quest giver about things, you're seeing this fish salesman that's going through and they're interacting with the fish, and he passes it on and they package it and he's showing off his wares and looking, and he's talking and he's fully voice acted and all this really cool stuff, some really neat things. And I wonder how much of this would actually be possible in the game in terms of, am I going to see, right? Because this is just a vertical slice of The Witcher 4. Even if this was what the actual game was going to be like, this is just one small vertical slice of it, which we know what this is not, right? So ultimately, if I did run into hypothetically, if this was all in the game, and I did run into that situation, how many times am I going to see that same fish salesman doing those things in different markets across different towns and cities and whatever? Because to have that level of voice acting and all of that dynamic, there's one of two possibilities. Either CD Projekt Red really went that goddamn crazy, or the more likely situation, which is they can do that, but all of that is just going to be powered by AI. And that gets me arguably more nervous, because I don't know if it's at a point where you're listening to this conversation and it's just an AI determining what the response should be. One, it needs to have that fast enough response time, right? It needs to be, which you've seen, even with the ridiculous Darth Vader AI in Fortnite, someone would be like, "Hey Darth, can you like call my mom hot or something?" And then it would just sit there and it'd go, "I cannot say such things on blah, blah, blah," right? And you have that weird Silicon Valley gap that takes place. So either they would really need to get that sorted as far as, or they would really need to go crazy with the amount of things that happen, which I'm not saying is impossible. Grand Theft Auto has an insane amount of NPC dialogues and random banter and conversations that go on. I don't really think I run into the same dialogue in Grand Theft Auto 5 very often at all. Sure, it happens, but not so often that it's memorable.
If you compare the protagonist Michael or Franklin's interaction with NPCs in GTA 5, it is completely different from when Arthur interacts with an NPC in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, it could be.
Oh, I mean the NPCs.
Could be possible that CD Projekt Red.
I mean the NPCs interacting with each other.
Could do something similar. Oh, with each other. Well,
yeah, to have that level
again
of dynamic interaction.
Okay, well, like I just said, NPCs interacting with each other in GTA 5. Compare that to Red Dead Redemption 2, and I guarantee you it'd be night and day. CD Projekt Red doing that. Again, I have to see it to believe it. I'm skeptical. This is CD Projekt Red we're talking about. Yes, they make incredible RPGs, but you just have to see it to believe it with any developer. Like, yes, there are some exceptions to the rule. Like with Rockstar, we know that their games are going to be magnum opuses no matter how many games they release a generation, even if it's once a generation. From Software, they've managed to dim down their niche to where you don't have to have a good story at all in a From Software game and people will still buy it and play it. Larian, like, they have managed to put CRPGs on the map in a way that no other series has done. Even their own series, Divinity, never managed to hit the mainstream. Again, CD Projekt Red, they say that their open world RPGs is their niche. It's just a matter of, can you actually deliver it right without any complications at launch? And can you actually deliver on the promises that you are setting with this tech demo?
No. I don't think so. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think so.
I
think it'll be close.
They can.
I think it'll be close enough where there's going to. I personally believe that what's going to happen with this is that it's going to be close enough, because let's be honest, visually, as far as visuals go, the game is stunning. It's probably one of the best looking games that I'd say games. Showcases, tech demos. One of the most visually impressive tech demos that I've personally ever seen. I think they will get fairly close to this, because the reality is that technology is there. We already have it. We see, go back, I'm sorry, but go back and look at I'm not saying that Grand Theft Auto 6 looks as good as this, but it's really damn good looking. And so we have the technology to make visually impressive games. A lot of times it comes down to lighting. I think that's important to say too, right? If you can have great lighting in the game, it does wonders for your game. on top of that, you need good art style and art direction as well, right? All those other things are a big deal. However, I think it'll be close enough, but it's not going to hit that mark. So what's going to happen is they'll show off the game, the actual gameplay, and people are immediately going to be doing comparison screenshots, and they go, oh, this doesn't look like the demo. Then you're going to have the other crowd of people that's going, well, they said that it wasn't real gameplay, you doofus. And the other guy's going to go, well, then why'd they show? And you're going to have a war between these folks, right? It's going to be just agitators and trolls looking for engagement and bait versus people who are just diehard fans. And then there's going to be someone like myself, or probably you, Assassin, I'm making an assumption, that's stuck in the middle going, hey man, it looks good enough, I really don't care, like, and it was a tech demo, so why the F is this even a conversation to begin with? And so you're going to have that. And then the next stage is that the game's going to come out, and I think that CD Projekt Red, honestly speaking, I have a lot of confidence in, at the very least, their gameplay side of things. So they're going to be able to, even those folks who are complaining that the visuals aren't what the tech demo was, they'll look at the gameplay, and the gameplay is just going to sell the rest of the experience. And I do think that CD Projekt Red going to something like The Witcher is a lot easier of a task for them than building the entire city of, or the entirety of Night City in Cyberpunk, right? I think that just going into a fantasy world versus a futuristic urban setting is night and day. It's monumentally easier to do the former. Lotus, thank you so much for gifting 5 channel memberships to Crippling Debt, Steven 4XP. 4XP Gaming is a friend of Red's, not of us interns. No, I'm just kidding. Friend of all. 4XP. Check them out. They do cool stuff. Ray Old, Rick L, and Nerds and Other Legends also. Jonah says this isn't for consumers to get a look at the game in the first place. It's for people who work in the industry to get a look at the technology. This is meant to sell Unreal Engine. That's the other big thing that I wanted to touch on, but I just didn't get to. It's meant to sell Unreal Engine, and we see tons and tons of games being built in Unreal Engine. People are going to look at this, and we haven't talked about sort of the other elements that were shown off, because it wasn't just The Witcher 4. They showed off the optimizations that they've made to provide smoother performance for those using Unreal Engines. They've mentioned the amount of, like, they had sort of these real-time models where someone can have just a consumer webcam, and then they could basically get sort of you've seen them before with the VTubers and stuff, but you could have an animated persona that with very, very minimal latency is able to enact movements and, you know, create environment behind you and create an avatar of you that then can speak on camera, and it gets lip sync and facial animations really, really done really, really well, where they were getting eyebrows and individual muscle movements and lips and, you know, nose wrinkles and skin, you know, things like that. So really cool stuff there. And then also improved physics that they've done. I spoke to the cloth before, but in other areas as well. And also sort of their NPC generator, where you can make character models and human characters, and you can do it by hand, but they have these pre-builts that are easier than ever to tweak, especially for like skeletal structures. So if you want to make, you know, kind of an obese NPC or a skinny NPC, you can really quickly change those on the fly and, you know, tweak certain parts of it and go in and fine tune it if you want to, but you can ultimately just kind of almost like drag and drop slide, like Fallout style drag things to change how they look in a realistic way. And the clothes that they wear adapts to that as well. So all this technology is built into Unreal, whether you're making The Witcher or you're making any other Unreal game. And that's what they're trying to sell.
Another thing that during the state of Unreal, I don't think it was in the actual show. Maybe it was. I didn't manage to see the full thing. Jonas actually just brought it up. The metahuman testing, or they showed off a trailer showcasing metahuman, which you can have realistic facial animations, realistic facial mocap characters. And they went through a pretty substantial list of games that feature metahuman. We did see Death Stranding 2 is using MetaHuman. Expedition 33 was another game that was shown. Marvel's 1943, The Rise of Hydra. Again, this tech demo and, showcasing MetaHuman and Unreal 5, like Jonas said, it's meant for the developers to see what's new in tech, how can we make our games better, how can we use the tools that you're giving us. I'm honestly excited, Unreal 5, it is a very impressive engine when the developers know how to optimize it correctly. I will say that I understand a lot of people are pushing back on Unreal 5 monopolizing game engine access throughout the industry. We're seeing a lot of developers switch to Unreal. CD Projekt Red, again, a big one. Halo Studios, formerly 343, made the jump to Unreal. I understand the concern, but let's not forget there is still plenty of other game engines out there that can push the boundaries of game development. Rockstar's Rage engine. I talked with Arcane how underrated the Northlight engine is from Remedy Entertainment.
Dude,
Capcom
what happened to
Crytek?
Or the CryEngine?
Exactly.
What happened
Crytek
to
is another
CryEngine?
one.
You wanted good visuals. I mean, dude, like
you want good visuals? Give me Crysis 4 or Rise Son of Rome 2. Give me one of those.
That's what I'm saying.
Show that off.
And honestly,
Capcom is also another one. They're discussing publicizing or licensing out the RE engine, which we all know how good that engine is, except performance-wise. So they're considering licensing out their engine to compete with Epic and Unreal.
Yeah.
So in terms of gaming technology, there is so much to look forward to. At least in my opinion. Maybe someone like Jonas will tell me how I'm wrong and how, it's worse than I think it is. But as far as gaming developments and the resources that developers have, it's never been better. And again, graphics do not make the game. It's the passion behind it that makes the game. And if the better the tools, the more the passion comes out clear as day. We see this with Expedition 33. Good example. It was in Unreal 5, it's using MetaHuman, made by a passionate team of 30 devs. Look where they are now. And it could be you.
It could be you.
And I'm speaking to game developers.
Yeah, listen. So, I think the takeaway is that the technology is impressive. It does set a higher standard for others who are trying to license their engines out to catch up. To either, the issue is that, as I think the more rational fear is that as Unreal continues to grow in popularity, it means they're going to devote more resources to Unreal and scale in such a way that these other teams can't scale, right? So we comes up a lot of times in relation to Bethesda that nobody likes the creation engine. The creation's terrible. I'm a supporter of the creation engine just because it does Bethesda games and what they want to do really well. And I'll also just say that when you look at what modding is able to do on Creation Engine and you see that they changed the game to look like a 2020 game or, like a 2023, 2024 game in terms of what they can do with mods, I think that, to be honest, I think that's huge, right? Because no other engine can do that. I've never seen any other engine as moddable as that. And so,
correct me if I'm wrong. Is it just me, or do the modders actually have a better understanding of Creation Engine than Bethesda themselves sometimes?
No. I think
that impression a lot.
You got to keep in mind that the thing that a lot of people are quick to forget is that Bethesda has budgets and timelines and investors and all this other thing, all these other side things that they need to meet, and a modder has infinite time. So we didn't start seeing these types of mods that kind of revolutionize the way the games look. It's 2023 and you start, the game had been out since 2011 and now these insane they've come out before that, right? I don't know when the first massive visual overhaul was, but it takes a long time for them to get to that point as far as how they work on them. So
does Oblivion Remaster have modding support on PC? I know they don't have mods. It on console, but does PC have?
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, and they had mods. It's not officially supported yet, but there were mods that came out day one for Oblivion Remastered, day one, and the Nexus team, you know, where all the mods are hosted, or most of them, that you want that are family friendlier. Friendly-ish. They were on top of like reverse engineering the thing so that they could figure out how it works to be able to do things like the script extender. That's what most mods rely on. So anyway, not to get too far off topic, but I think as more, you know, Bethesda, what I was getting at there was that Bethesda took a long time, they said themselves, longer than expected to get those engine overhauls done, but they don't have the resources to make this huge team that's just, it could be amazing. It could, all these problems that people claim, I think they genuinely could fix, but they don't have the resources to sit down and say, we're going to just make this like a devoted engine team, especially because they know that they're not licensing it out and making money off of it. So Unreal has that capacity, and as other studios realize, for example, look at like CD Projekt Red is a great example. They were using their own proprietary engine, and then they said, actually, it's not worth the time and the energy to keep supporting this. We're just going to go to Unreal, because they do have the time and the energy and the finances to support theirs. And I think more studios can fall into that. Not a bad thing for a lot of games, because
how would you feel though?
About what?
How would you feel if let's just play pretend this is not happening. I already know this. So let's just pretend that Microsoft and Bethesda, like many other developers in the industry right now, looking at the state of Unreal today, right? Seeing what's possible with Unreal 5. What if a year or two down the line, we find out that Bethesda's switching to Unreal? Like they're done with Creation Engine. How would you react? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think Creation Engine in many ways is both a detriment and a revolutionary tool that Bethesda has, but how would you feel if they switched to Unreal?
I think that you're going to lose a large portion of the modding community. I think it's important to remember that a lot of the modders that are making the really cool, ambitious mods, you know, the things like Legacy of the Dragonborn, or things like, you know, the Bard's College was actually a creation by King Gath, but he does some really, really cool things. King Gath is a great modding team now, I think, unless it's always been a team, but you know what I mean, right? Or Skyblivion, for example, right? All of these people are longtime Bethesda fans, and these modders that are making those legendary, Fall Scar is another great example, these legendary Bethesda experiences, you're going to lose, because those folks aren't necessarily going to want to turn around and say, well, I'm just going to go learn Unreal now. So all those individuals that spent all this time learning Creation Engine, now you can argue that, well, there's people who know Unreal and they'll start modding in Unreal because they know it. And I think that's a fair argument. I just wonder if it would even, I wonder if it would be able to operate the same way, because I think things can get really, I don't know enough about it is the issue. But what I do know is that Creation Engine does work as far as modding goes. And what I know is that Bethesda games are some of the most modded, they are the most modded games ever. And I don't see any Unreal Engine game. I don't see any Unreal Engine game that has the same level of mod support that the top modded Bethesda, which is Skyrim, has.
Jonas does bring up a good point, though.
Learning Unreal is far more accessible than learning Creation Engine. Yes, it is,
but
one
of the troubles that 343 had with Halo.
But the people
and the
need
slip space engine.
The people want to learn. You need to have the people who want to learn it, right? And it's more accessible, but that doesn't mean that folks, again, I'm gonna attribute it to the same things we say about a lot of these gaming studios. When we see talent leave gaming studios and we go, well, it's not really BioWare anymore, or it's not really Bethesda anymore, it's not really whatever insert company here anymore. Same with the modding community, right? When you start losing a lot of those more ambitious mod makers and creators who are spending the time learning it, and suddenly they go, well, shoot, it's that modding community is gone. Is it more accessible? Yes. What you would likely have is just a gap, right? There's gonna be a gap for a while where people need to kind of catch up, and you need to have that new audience learn Unreal to then mod it, and yeah, it would be more accessible for those new folks. Again, it's hard to say because every engine does things differently. People, myself included, I'm an armchair developer in this situation. A lot of people don't really understand what engines actually do. Engines each do different things well. Some people will like Unreal. Some Bethesda developers like Unreal better than Creation. Some of them like Creation Engine better, right? Every engine does different things well, and Unreal is not as versatile as it is, doesn't necessarily mean that it excels at absolutely everything, and it's a perfect engine for every type of game that you want to make. And that might include things that are integral to some of the Bethesda experiences, which is, for example, having all those instance items. If you leave items in a cave and then you go back, they're going to be in the exact same type of place, right? Maybe that's a detail just nobody cares about anymore. And that's entirely possible. I'm willing to accept that. Or just being able to pick up every individual thing, right? Maybe that's just a detail nobody cares about anymore. And that's fine. But I do think it's part of what makes those games special, if I'm being honest. And I don't want to lose that. So I love Unreal. I love games made on Unreal. I don't love that Unreal is entirely stuttery all the time. I've never played a modern Unreal game that doesn't stutter like crazy, and that's frustrating, or have some kind of performance issue.
Expedition 33?
Expedition 33 has massive lip sync issues. And I don't know, that's probably not the engine.
That is fair, yeah.
That's probably not the engine, but I don't know what...
I think that's more of the motion capture.
That might be the motion capture, right? So, I don't know. Expedition 33 is a good example, but that's also is a good example of a game that uses Unreal in a very special way in terms of performance. But I also do think that that's the type of game that Unreal thrives in, if I'm being honest.
Honestly, I think it's a matter of fact that a lot of developers, I think a lot of developers have been using UE4 for so long. I think it's just a matter of, games are taking longer to develop. There are still some studios that we haven't even seen a new game from them since they started their Unreal Engine 5 products. Learning an engine takes time, even one as accessible as Unreal. But I think in terms of optimization, what?
Fuzzy says, I don't think they even attempted to lip sync right, because it is pretty bad in that game. And then Game Adaptation says, where's Red? I'm confused and I'm scared, and there's wolves after me.
Red made fun of my face, so I killed him. Do you think that was wrong?
I mean, that was darker.
I'm only kidding. He's fine. I don't know what he's doing.
That was darker than I ever would have gone.
But,
you know what I noticed too in this tech demo as I'm watching it again? There's goddamn micro stutters in this tech demo. There's micro stutters in the tech demo, and that is like my biggest. Just when Siri's running around. But that's, I don't know. That's like one of my biggest gripes. That's one of my. You guys might be seeing it worse on the broadcast just because obviously I'm doing a playback on stream, so it might be, different for you guys. But if you watch it, they're not bad. They're not as bad as some of the micro stutters in like Oblivion Remastered, which are terrible. But that's one of the things I bloody hate about Unreal. It annoys the living daylights out of me. But I don't know. I don't want to.
It brought the British out of you.
Bloody brilliant.
Fun fact about Unreal.
Oh,
Did you know that Arkham Knight was actually made on Unreal Engine 3?
No, but it's one of the best looking games still to this day. And it runs smoothly.
It was made on Unreal Engine 3.
And it runs smoothly.
UE3.
Just go back to UE3. Baked in light. What people said is that was baked in.
Go back to UE3.
People have done. It's go back to UE3. Oh. It's stable. It was the baked in lighting because the game didn't have all these fancy lighting features that get, you know, the ray tracing and the real time dynamic shadows.
It's Gotham City at night.
Yeah, it did not. But I do think that in a lot of instances, right, a lot of times when we get some of these performance issues, it's actually because of the lighting and how difficult it is to render all these lights in real time amongst all the other polygons that are going on in the games. But it often does tie into the lighting, and honestly, I think that more studios should go back to baked-in lighting because they can do so much more with so much less processing power. But obviously, to say that we have ray tracing is the buzzword, and to have dynamic real-time lighting and shadows is all the buzz stuff. So I'm an old gamer. I don't care about some of these fancy things. Yeah. So there you go.
Regarding gaming engines, just in general, like Unreal Engine 5, like Jonah said, it's the most accessible to everybody that wants to start developing video games. But we have competition in the gaming space. The RE engine, Rage, Northlight, EA's Frostbite engine. Like, there is definitely some...
Frostbite's a good one.
There's definitely some problems with Unreal Engine 5, but I'm just glad that we have other alternatives, and I'm glad that Capcom is looking into licensing out their engine to give us a bit more competition with Unreal, because I think if developers also had easy access and easy learning for the RE engine, I think we could see even more spectacular games.
Yeah.
That don't require UE5.
And don't copyright them like those Scrooges at Warner Brothers with the Nemesis system. Don't copyright things.
Okay.
The occasional microstutter is honestly a small price. Jonas says the occasional microstutter it's not occasional though. It's like every time you move the camera, it'll just be like, it's just like jittery, and it drives me insane. And I pick up on it. My eyes are prone to it. So, especially when you're playing at the higher frame rates that these games want to achieve, right? They want to be 60 FPS consistently, and then suddenly you're getting a stutter that drops it momentarily to 12, and you're just like, and you're just like,
Honestly, I think gamers should just stop with the whole we need better graphics. You just need good art style and 60 frames. That's all you need.
Yeah, graphics reached a peak.
That's really all you need.
I think graphics.
You just need performance and art style.
Okay, so you can. I'm gonna just say shout out to the over 50 people that we had, over 60 people here at one point that are watching this tonight. Thank you guys, and let us know how much you guys love it without Red being here, because the interns, myself and Assassin, have taken over, and we want him to feel completely unloved and unmissed, and that none of you actually watched the show for him. So do me a favor.
I thought I was the hater of the group.
No, we miss Red. Do me a favor and let Red know how much we all miss him. We all miss him, and he'll be back. He'll be back next week. Don't worry. But we're stepping in today.
So
what do you think?
Are you going to be live streaming the State of Play?
Yeah, it's at 5:00, so it's after work. So yeah, hell yeah.
Can I join?
Actually, no, I can't. No, I can't. Never mind. I can't. Oh wait, no, it's only 40 minutes. I can.
Aww. What the okay. No commentary after the fact though?
No.
Damn.
I have a work meeting. I have a work meeting with some Australians, and that starts at 6:30 because they're on the opposite side of the world and their time is backwards. And conveniently it's tomorrow. So where is Red? Is he okay? If that's a serious question, yes, he's okay. If that's a Star Wars reference, kudos to you. Yes, I don't know.
Red is currently off with his. I think he's.
Thank you.
I don't know if he's doing it solo or with his girlfriend. He's busy doing some wedding shoots for a client of his, I think is what he said. We will not be reacting or live streaming Summer Game Fest, but everybody should be here for the Xbox Showcase on Sunday. Arcane got the approval. Red said he'll be here. Holly's not in LA, so she'll be here. And obviously, you know, I'll be here. DeMarco, I think you're the only one that hasn't RSVP'd.
Well, I'm going to be streaming on my channel, right? So
on your channel. Okay. All right. So you're not going to be watching with us, but
I'll be
we're
watching.
all going to talk together about it after the fact.
Yeah.
Like last year. All right, cool.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I'll end with, is just really quick, like 5-word answer. One thing that you want to see improved in gaming. So we just talked about how graphics are sort of, we don't really need to keep diving into better graphics. One thing that you want to see improved, and I can say my answer is I don't want to see better graphics anymore. I want to see improved AI. I want to see better AI, more realistic behaviors, especially in, for example, a fantasy game with melee-based combat where they behave a little bit more intelligently and they react a bit more realistically and they spot you a bit more realistically, those sorts of things. That would be my personal thing that I want to see. What about you?
You mean something I want to see from gaming tech or from gaming devs in general?
Sure, either or. Well, let's just stick with tech because we're talking about graphics, so let's stick with tech.
Honestly,
AI.
tech, I want... Honestly, I just want the tech to provide better performance. That's all I want.
Performance
I'm tired of
optimizations.
games launching at 30 frames. Yes,
That's a
I want
good
better optimization, better performance. I don't want... We're in 2025. Every game studio should at least be capable of producing a game at 60 frames per second at launch. I mean, everybody. That includes you, Rockstar. I swear to God, if Grand Theft Auto 6 is 30 frames, I'm going to crash out.
We'll have to wait and see.
But that's what I want. Better optimization.
So we'll just wrap up by going through, I will say one, I'll just go first and then I'll let you close out the show, Assassin. I have 2 videos out you can check out today on my predictions for both the Xbox Showcase and Summer Games Fest Showcase. So please go ahead and give those some love. Really appreciate the support on those. The Xbox one did a lot better than I was expecting. I appreciate that. And then I will be streaming possibly the State of Play. That'll be a last minute call. But I'll be definitely doing the Xbox Showcase, and I will be definitely streaming the Summer Games Fest Showcase, which you can check out on my channel, DeMarco Dude. You can use it in search. It didn't make it into the description because Red did it for us very last minute while he's away. But check out DeMarco Dude over on YouTube. You can search me, and I'll come up if you want to hang out. If you've enjoyed the stream with myself and Assassin and you want a double dose of DeMarco, you can find it over there. And we're creeping our way towards 5,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Almost at 5. We got a while to go.
You can practically taste it.
I can practically taste it. Subscribe. I've said it before. Subscribers is a vanity metric, but it's still exciting to see when you grow. So hey, if you want to share some love and you've appreciated the takes I've given. What's that?
You're gonna be live streaming Summer Game Fest?
Yeah, I'll be live streaming both the Xbox Showcase and Summer Games Fest on my channel. Probably will not do a
That's surprising.
podcast this week, just because we have 2 showcases. So I'll be just gearing up for those. So that's what's going on with me.
If I jumped on for SGF,
I think I want to keep it solo so I can capture my reactions. I like doing the solo cast with my audience.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fair. I just thought I'd ask, but yeah. Anyway, where can people find you again?
You can find me over DeMarco Dude, YouTube and Twitter. Feel free to search it right up in the search bar, and I'll plug it. While Assassin gives his outro, I'll also link it in the chat for those of you who are interested. Assassin, what about you? What do you got going on?
You can just find me on Twitter @Assassin2. I'm not exactly a big content creator like Red or DeMarco. I just don't have the time or the funds to actually produce high quality videos like these 2 magnificent people can. But if you do like good hot takes and good perspective on what's going on in gaming, video games in general. Like I said, you can find me on Twitter at Assassin52. And yeah, that's all I got.
And you want to give one more reminder? You want to give one more reminder for Red's schedule for upcoming events?
Oh yes. So obviously Red is pretty busy until the 6th, so he will not be live streaming the State of Play tomorrow or Summer Game Fest. But he will be live streaming the Xbox Showcase on June 8th. We would love it if you guys would share the excitement with us. You don't have to be there, but if you guys want to actually watch crazy people react to crazy reveals, then you can always just join us Sunday. We would love to have you all.
It's a good time.
I always makes constant jokes.
I always go back and I watch you guys and the stream that you guys put on afterwards. So I always go back, even though I've already watched the show, just to see how you guys react. So it is a really good time. Thank you to over 50 people. We reached over 60 people who joined in tonight for the intern takeover episode, and we did really well without Red here. We did really damn well. I think this should just be the show. I think we got a show right here.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have an ending soon screen, so we're just gonna go to a be right back screen. We're not gonna be right back. We'll be right back next week. So there you go. That's right back enough, I think, for this type of channel.
If a Nintendo Direct doesn't get in our way.
Nintendo Direct.
I have a feeling that I just manifested a Nintendo Direct announcement tomorrow. You know how much Nintendo loves to uppercut Sony when they get the chance.
I hope they do. Well, Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of people I'm seeing aren't really
too.
excited about the launch of Nintendo Switch 2, but that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us on this episode 108 without the Red Wolf himself on the Renegade Realm podcast. My graphics guy sucks. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bare bones layout. I will just say,
Jonas, come on, bruv.
I'll just say that, listen, there's beauty in simplicity, right? Isn't it nice when you go on a stream and you see that it's actually really low tech? Have you ever had it? Like, you go watch a YouTube video and it's so low tech, and it might not necessarily be the best video ever, but you watch it just because it's like really humbling to see and like kind of sweet when it's super.
Well, this is
that's what this is.
I don't remember if you I don't know if you remember a couple months ago, but you and Holly were both unavailable, and Red, I think you were available at the start, but then you left, and then it was just me and Red for like a good hour and a half, and it looked just like this because Red didn't have a 2-man show graphic. Red had the ready.
There you go. It works. The Renegade Realm coup has begun.
The Renegade Realm coup has begun.
Interns deserve a raise. Well, I'm sure Red's gonna watch this all back, and then he's gonna love it. So show Red some love. Let him know you miss him. We miss him too. He'll be back next week, and he'll be back on Sunday as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Crazy to see all of you here, and really appreciate it. Again, you can check out my link in the chat if you want more, or you've appreciated the takes that you've had today, or you want to tune in for some of the upcoming showcases that are coming. Then I'll be streaming those. So thank you all, and
maybe we'll see you Sunday.
Bottom of the Renegade Realm podcast, I hope you have a beautiful night, all of you beautiful people. We'll see you on Sunday.
See you Sunday, guys.